A man was found dead, unfortunately, in the hot tub, the backyard patio hot tub of the person who then became the murder suspect. And his body had cuts and bruises consistent with a fight, and there was blood in the hot tub water. The suspect has been charged with and will be tried on charges of first-degree murder. And this happened in Arkansas. Detectives in Arkansas then wished to obtain data from the suspect's various IoT systems, things that might provide some additional information. And this is really the anchor of the story, and that we'll get to in a second, but I want to sort of cover the facts. So the thing that made the news wasn't what I think is a little more interesting to our audience, although the specifics are, and that is that this person, the suspect in his home, had an Amazon Echo, and Amazon received a warrant, essentially requesting any information, any audio that the Echo might have picked up and that Amazon had on their servers. And we'll talk about what Amazon said in a second. But essentially, they've asked Amazon for anything that the suspect's Amazon Echo may have overheard. So
wow. Now,
yes,
we've talked about this before. I mean, it wouldn't have overheard anything unless by accident, as the guy is being murdered, he shouts, "Alexa!" Right?
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
You know, which edge of the knife do I use? And I'm not sure what you want to ask Alexa at a moment like that. But yes.
Now, I don't know if it's the same case, but there was also a subpoena for recordings of some other device.
Well, what they noted was interesting, was that this person, apparently he was into IoT, for better or for worse. He had a smart water meter, and it logged 140 gallons of water used between 1 a.m. and 3 a.m. The night the victim was found dead in the suspect's hot tub.
You see, we have caught you. You are guilty.
And so the investors assume, and they're alleging, that the water was used to wash away evidence of whatever it was that transpired on the patio.
Right.
And or maybe the hot tub was dumped and then refilled because it was too bloody. I mean, who knows? So the examination of the water meter and the request for stored Echo information raises a bigger question about privacy. At a time when we have any number of devices now tracking and automating our habits at home, the question arises, should that information be available for use against us in criminal cases? Now, the defense attorney, of course, argues that it should not be, saying, quote, one has an expectation of privacy in one's own home. And she says, I have a big problem that law enforcement can use the technology that advances our quality of life against us. Well, okay, boo-hoo. You know, I mean, her job is to take that position, but it does really raise the question. So, and from our audience's standpoint and people who follow the podcast, you know, there's also, as we would well know, a real question of the reliability of information from smart home devices, since accuracy can, as we know, be an issue for any number of readily hackable IoT gadgets. So someone could plausibly be framed by their IoT devices because, you know, they're being hacked all the time. So it might not be your light bulb DDoSing some random, you know, .com site somewhere else. It could be your IoT device, your light bulb, basically tattling on you, saying, yes, he was home at 5 a.m. because I got turned on, when in fact that information could be planted externally.
Well, all of that would be that's part of the court's, in the testimony, and you have to explain all that stuff.
Well, and we know how many stories have been built around the whole chain of evidence issue.
Right.
That the legal formalization of verifying that at no point was the chain broken, was something never subject to tampering, out of control of law enforcement, and so forth.
Yeah.
So an Amazon spokesperson, first of all, Amazon denied them access to any recorded audio.
That's interesting too, isn't it?
Yes. But
by the way, if you had access to the suspect's phone and he had the Amazon app, the Echo app on his phone, all of the recordings are available through that app.
Yes, and we're about to get to that because Amazon does store recordings of what it picks up in the cloud. So the Amazon spokesperson denied the audio, but did provide purchasing information that is non-Alexa. Oh, sorry, non-Echo. So crap. I'm sorry.
Oh, it's all right. I already screwed it up by shouting. By the way, the jokes here are endless on different commands that you could use that would be incriminating.
Oh, coming over the chat room.
Yeah, yeah. The chat room's been having a good time.
Quite prolific
with this. Yeah. I'll go ahead. I won't interrupt.
Okay, so they did provide some information. Probably the warrant asked for everything, and they said, "Well, we'll give you some of what you've asked for. Like, when did he purchase this new set of knives? But we're not going to give you the audio from the Echo." So the Amazon spokesperson formally said, quote, "Amazon will not release customer information without a valid and binding legal demand properly served on us. Amazon objects to overbroad or otherwise inappropriate demands as a matter of course." Okay, so then some facts were made more clear as a consequence of research that followed this. First, the Amazon, as we have said, the Amazon Echo only captures audio and streams it to the cloud when the device hears the wake word Alexa. And as we know, it's probably buffering it, looking for that word in the buffer. So it probably, in the same way that Apple's little animated picture widget captures before and after you actually press the snapshot button, I would imagine that Alexa is picking up some context in case it's important beforehand. So there is a gated capture and stream to the cloud which surrounds the engagement of the Echo. And as we know, a blue ring on the top of the device provides a visual indication that audio is being recorded. So the blue ring is meant to be connected to Alexa is listening actively and streaming to the cloud. Those clips, or utterances as the company calls them, are stored in the cloud until a customer deletes them either individually or all at once. When that's done, the utterances are permanently deleted. And just in case someone didn't know, the microphones on an Echo device can be manually turned off at any time. So, I think this represents Amazon having thought this through. I mean, they couldn't possibly handle the bandwidth of everybody's Echoes and Dots in the world sending, like spying on all of their homes, and nobody would want that happening. So I think they've made a good trade-off. They've made it clear what they're doing. They're no doubt capturing sound samples, both to learn about the Echo's master and probably to, over time, to perfect their audio. And also, for example, if you ask Alexa something that the system, the Echo, I give up.
Right now, everybody's muted their system.
If you ask her something that she doesn't understand, I'm sure that sends a ping back to the mothership saying this snippet was not understood. And probably there's minions somewhere listening to those going, "Ooh, what a great idea," for like what she should be able to understand. Or, there's no doubt some serious metrics and analysis going on the back end to make it even better. So, that's a trade-off. And I think Amazon has done a good job. But the broader question, of course, is, not this specific, but more like the power meter, which is a perfect example of information which once upon a time would have been lost, which law enforcement would want to have if they could, and now to a much greater degree, there is we talk about it all the time, the privacy versus trade-off agreement, essentially. I mean, the nature of that is if you've got a what's the thermostat on the wall? The
Nest.
The Nest. If you've got a Nest,
now, not just the
yes.
Nest, yeah.
If you've got exactly. If you've got a smart thermostat, if you've got something like a home security system which is doing stuff. I mean, essentially, many of these things, not all of them, but many of them are monitoring in nature. So if your lights are being monitored, your heating and air conditioning, the presence of your motion in rooms, and so on, and that information is obtainable retrospectively, then that's just something to remember. And there may be a very strong defense, which is, Your Honor, everybody knows these systems are being hacked all the time. My client was framed. He wasn't home, even though his home says he was, because somebody arranged to planted that information, and the prosecution is being fooled by believing that this could be trusted. So we live in very interesting times.